Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Thrunite Archer 2A version 3. We're going to blow through the stats really quick and then get on to my performance review and also compare this to another light. So this thing has the Cree XPL V6 LED. Now the V6 is the newest and best XPL out there, and it is probably the strongest LED you can get, aside from going up to the really big ones like the MTG2 and those other ones, but those don't particularly come in AA flashlights. This is about as best as you can get on the market. There's really not much better as far as just lumen output. This thing uses 2 AA's and has a voltage range of 0.9 volts to 5 volts, so you cannot use lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. Your modes are a 0.2 lumen mode that will give you 28 days of runtime, 17 mode low for 4 days, medium is 75 for 11 hours, and high is 500 lumens for 96 minutes, and the strobe will last approximately 140. As I mentioned, it runs on 2 AA batteries. You can use regular alkalines, nickel metal hydride, or Energizer Lithium. The lithium primary is not anything rechargeable lithium, so I did want to point that out. Max beam distance is 66 meters, which seems about right from my testing. Impact resistant to 1 meter, IPX8 waterproof standard. Comes with a pocket clip, spare O-ring, lanyard, and partridge in a pear tree. So, now that we've put that all out there, let's talk about, actually I'll run you through operation real quick. We have a rear tail clicky, rubberized boot. Turns it on and off. And it does have a memory mode as well. And then your side clicky will change it through modes. And I really like this. This is one of the upgrades of version 3. Is this clicky? I really do prefer this clicky. If I just kind of turn my head and don't pay attention, I can actually find this in the dark, which is awesome. There's enough, but it's also got enough give to it where it's not going to get changed over in your pocket accidentally every time you sit down or something. So as you can see, your moonlight mode is very low. That's your, I think your 17 mode, your higher, and then so those are them. And when the light is on, all you do is hold in that side switch, and you'll go to strobe, and push it again, and it turns it off. So as I also mentioned before, it does have a memory, so you can use that for anything except for strobe. It will not memorize the strobe mode. Construction. So as I mentioned, we have the little rubberized tail boot, nice knurling. Let me go around the other side here. Nice knurling on the tube. The pocket clip is, it's kind of right in the middle. It really doesn't make it very useful, I'll tell you that. Maybe if you're just kind of sticking it in your belt or in your back pocket as you walk, but not for like an everyday carry. Has that nice little metal side switch there, which I really do prefer. Orange peel reflector, glass lens, and there's your XPL. Very good quality, everything. And one of the cool things about Thrunite, guys, and I think you've seen this in my videos before, is their construction quality is always really good. Number one, the threads are always cut well and lubed and all that. The O-rings are always in good shape. But the details, they always use the nice plated springs. They always use nice contact plates. Everything in them is generally really good quality. Whereas other lights, sometimes you'll buy them, you get them home and they use really just like cheap steel springs that don't get much conductivity, and a lot of weird things they do that just really blow my mind. Plus Thrunite, you can get it directly through Amazon, like $35 to your house, and you can get it with Prime. It's there in like 3 days, guys. You can't go wrong with that. So my performance testing. Now, I do something called a ceiling bounce test. And what that is basically you take a lux meter, which I use my cell phone for it, you turn on your light, and you measure the lumens bouncing off like a white wall or a white piece of paper or whatever. And you calibrate this by adjusting the distance so that the lumens basically get to a point where you want. In my case, I've calibrated a distance that will actually make the lumens match up with the lux match up with the lumens. Now this is not an exact science. by any means, but I developed a database of my flashlights, and I'm able to basically compare all the different flashlights and what my reading is versus what the actual reading is, and I can get a good idea of what these flashlights put out. I'd say within 10 to 20%, which is pretty awesome. So with this here, of course you have your really low Firefly mode, which I got 0 for. The low mode, I got 12 for alkaline and nickel metal hydride, and I got 60 for that medium mode, which I think it was like 58 and 60, but they were very close. The numbers came out very close between alkaline and nickel metal hydride, which to me says this flashlight has very good regulation, that the electronic driver in it actually drives it at a very even, steady current no matter what battery is in it. Now, for alkalines, I got 476 lumens, and for nickel metal hydride, 515. So they estimate 500. I'm pretty close to dead on. I compared this to a couple other lights that I have that are 500 lumens, and it looks to be pretty accurate. So I do feel with a pretty good amount of certainty that this is, 450 to 550 lumens, somewhere, within that range, which is pretty awesome. Run times were very difficult to measure with this flashlight because it does step down on high mode after 3 minutes. So I tried doing some runtime testing, but a couple of times I forgot to boost the flashlight back up into turbo, so they weren't very accurate. I'm not even gonna get into them here, but the run times I got were completely in line with what is on their website, and that's the good thing about Thrunite. They don't exaggerate about lumens and runtime, which is another one of my favorites with them. So let's talk about the comparison flashlight. So we got one to compare this with and see, are you getting your money's worth for this flashlight? It's very easy because the market is so flooded with awesome flashlights. How do you know which is better, which is not? So what we have and what we're bringing in is the Fenix LD22. Pretty much the same exact light. I mean, there's some little differences in size, as you can see, and little difference in placement of the clip, but essentially it's the same exact thing. The only difference is the LD22 uses the Cree XPG2, which is an old LED. It's kind of ridiculous because the LD22 is a $50 flashlight. The Archer is a $36 flashlight. The XPG2 is old news. The XPG3 is out, and it's not like that. But the XPG2 is it's been around a long time. It's a nice LED. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's better and more efficient LEDs on the market. The XPLs are doing really good. The XPL High is amazing. The Nichias are really good. It's just like, why stick with the old technology? That just kind of baffles me. So I also did some testing with the LD20, and you know what? It doesn't share the same good regulation that the Archer has. I ended up getting a very similar kind of 5 lumen mode, 20 lumen mode, and 120 lumen mode. So I think it has a little better spread when it comes to the modes. I do like having that 120 lumen mode. But in the end, the turbo mode, I got 233 for alkaline and 430 for nickel metal hydride. That's kind of ridiculous. It was like 200 lumen difference between the two of them, which to me says the flashlight doesn't have good regulation. Does it hurt it? No, it's awesome. If you plan to use this for nickel metal hydrides, hey, you're getting a really good output. Now, I end up getting some run times of 53 minutes with this, with nickel metal hydrides, and 43 with alkalines. It's really kind of weak for 2 AA batteries and 233 lumens and only get 40 minutes out of it. It's kind of BS. That's 20 minutes per battery. If you bought a single AA flashlight and only got 20 minutes out of it, you'd be disappointed. Most of the flashlights out there are getting 30 to 60 minutes with a single AA. So kind of like a bummer performance-wise. And is it a big deal? No, it's not the end of the world. And there's going to be a lot of people who will be very happy with the LD22. But when you compare the two of these together, number one, the Archer is brighter with alkaline and nickel metal hydride, and massively brighter with alkaline. You're talking almost twice as bright with alkalines. And, you're having a better, more efficient LED. And, you know, and the big elephant in the room is the controls on this thing. This LD22 has some wonky controls. And from testing it, you know, I'm really disappointed in the light for $50. If it was 35 bucks, awesome. You know, I would still think, you know, the Archer is better even at 35. But at 50, it doesn't compete. And I try and show you guys this for a reason, because I know money's tight and I want you guys to make the best decisions with your purchases. And a lot of people like to pass by Thrunite because they kind of feel like, oh, they just give out free flashlights. So, of course, people are always going to say it's good. So that's why I always try and compare them to other lights to show you this isn't just, you know, because it's a free light for someone. They really are better. Now, check this out. This LD22 has a tactical and an outdoor mode. And how you switch between them is you hold this in for 3 seconds, and then you get this weird, you're supposed to, oh no, actually, my bad, it's got to be on low. So, it's got to be on low, number one, which is a huge pain. So you got to hold this in for like, there. Now when that happens, you turn it off, turn it back on, and you're in tactical mode. Now, tactical mode blows my mind. It's dumb. Number one, it disables the side clicky, so you can't use the side clicky. And then number two, to change modes, you now have to turn the light off, and then it works as a forward clicky, and you only get 3 modes, which are pretty much high, strobe, and medium. Okay, so say you have this thing in tactical mode, and you're going downstairs, you hear a bump in the night, and you turn this thing on. Okay, you're walking around at high, and you're like, oh crap, there's someone in my house. You go to hit strobe, no strobe. Okay, I want to turn strobe on. I want to, you know, like disorientate this guy. You actually have to go, turn the light off, and change modes twice to get it into strobe. So for tactical mode, strobe is completely almost inaccessible unless you turn, you know, unless you start there. Let's talk about the Archer, which is not tactical at all. You're walking down, oh, who's that guy? Bam, you got your strobe on. Okay, so you're saying, okay, I won't use that tactical mode then. So, once again, you got to go. Turn that off, turn it back on, and now you're back into your straight 4 modes. But here's the kicker is, and in a tactical, like, defensive situation, okay, so say you are walking around with your flashlight on low, there's some guy in your house, some guy in your backyard, you hit the strobe, and you're not paying attention, you hold the button in, okay, the guy runs away, I shut my light off. I just completely and totally put this in tactical mode without realizing it. So, not only could then the guy comes running back and charging at you, your strobe is now gone, but you can accidentally turn on tactical mode just by accessing the strobe, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's really not very well thought out at all. I mean, there's nothing tactical about that whatsoever. And plus the fact that they're using the forward clicky is pointless. If you do it should be a reverse clicky. That way when you turn it on, you can switch modes while it's on without clicking it back off. Because that's the difference between a reverse and a forward clicky. A forward clicky, you can cycle the modes while the flashlight's off, and then when you get the mode you want, you turn it on. A reverse clicky, you change the mode while the light's on. So it would make more sense that you could just bam, 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 and switch between the mode when the light's already on, because you may need to switch it for that kind of situation. So the whole interface is completely wonky. It's completely contrary to what you would want in a tactical situation. So this idea of putting a tactical mode in there that's not very tactical blows my mind. It just... Alright, we talked enough about that, guys. So there it is. You got the Archer 2A, which is a good flashlight. Very bright. You're talking 500 lumens, guys. That is insane. Good run times. Good quality. Everything's built well. And you know what? In the Fenix, everything's built well also. And one of the cool things about the Fenix is, if you like that kind of thing, is it has the smooth reflector. So it will give you a little different beam. Of course, now I gotta switch the modes, which huge pain. And then to switch the modes, you gotta turn on the, you know, like... Alright, so, as you can see, the XP-G2 leaves a really bright hot spot and then spill. I don't really find that very useful for this kind of light. I want it to be more of a flutter. Because if you're trying to read, for example, that hot spot can make it very difficult to read. It's too bright, it can wash out what you're trying to read. I don't like that. Some people do, you know, if you're going to be carrying this out in the woods, it may be to your benefit. But for me, I like, in this size flashlight, I like the smooth beam of the Archer. If you're trying to read, there is no really super hot, bright hot spot that's going to wash things out. Even when I bring it really close, it's not. You can kind of see the difference here when I hold them up side by side. Which one do you think would be easier to read a book in your tent or in your hammock? Obviously the Archer. You know, this thing, you know, you're going to have to kind of, you got that really, really bright center. It's just going to wash things out. So it's another just, it's really a matter of preference for me. But I don't see the reason to put an XBG2 with a smooth reflector in that kind of a flashlight. Because this is what you're going to use this flashlight for. Because these are kind of big for pocket carry. You're going to put it in your car. You're going to put it in your backpack. You're going to put it, you know, in things where you're not going to have it on you 24/7. For example, this is the kind and size of light I would bring backpacking. This is something I might bring and put in my car in the console. And I'm not going to be, you know, maybe I'd take it hunting, but I'd probably bring something a little more, you know, brighter to go hunting. So it's kind of like, it's a very confused light, that LD22, and I just want to show you because these things happen. Companies get all excited about making things tactical and adding modes, and in the end, sometimes simple is better. In the end, $36 versus $50, I think the Archer fits a lot more needs. It's a lot more useful in a tactical situation. It's a lot more useful for everything. And, you know, it's, you may like the Fenix and there's nothing wrong with it, but in the end, I just think the Archer is a much better value. So I hope you enjoyed.